Hello, I'm Jonathan Beck with Piedmont Technical Experts, and I'd like to welcome you to our presentation on cybersecurity for the SMB and startup entrepreneur. Cybersecurity can be complicated and confusing, and we're here to make it a little simpler to understand and help you plan for your specific needs in order to best protect yourself, your organization, and your clients. We'll be talking about three major areas of cybersecurity threats and how to protect yourself from them. Then we'll go in to talk about planning for your protection. Again, my name is Jonathan Beck. I've got 22 years of experience in IT and IT security. I've worked in varied environments in multiple business verticals and businesses of varying sizes. Piedmont Technical Experts was founded in 2021 with senior level engineers only with decades of experience. Our focus is specifically on the small and medium-sized business market and startup markets. Our clients currently range in size from 1 to 200 machines. This is a drawing, just a quick visual on all the things going on within the internet. You have your computers and your data going to and from the internet, going to and from your cloud applications and SaaS solutions, which SaaS stands for Software as a Service. You have your clients' machines, their information going to and from the internet, accessing your network to place orders, for instance, going to their cloud applications and SaaS solutions, potentially going to your cloud applications and your SaaS solutions, as well as a host of threats out there. And all the while, you need the data transfers to happen between your network and your solutions and your client and things like that. But at the same time, you want to protect that data. So let's jump right in and start talking about malware and ransomware. When people hear the term malware, they probably think viruses. And in today's terms, they tend to think ransomware. So let's take a step back and really kind of break this down. All ransomware is a virus, but not all viruses are ransomware. All viruses are malware, but not all malware is a virus. So we're talking about different categories inside malware along the way. So if malware is more than just viruses and ransomware, what else is malware? Well, malware is just simply the shortened term for malicious software. So other forms of malware include things like adware, spyware, bloatware, and search engine hijackers. So adware is basically going to flood you with ads. This could be pop-ups. If you remember in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was actually adware apps that you could download and earn money off of. But essentially, they're using your system's resources to just constantly ping you with ads. Spyware is an application that is going to mine your data. It could be mining your search engine history. It could be mining data off your PC. And it is designed to either steal your data or it's going to be used to customize your adware. Basically, spyware can say, oh, this person's been going to a lot of craft sites, so I'm going to make sure the adware program knows that every fifth ad should be for Etsy. Bloatware is an app or a program that is going to hurt the performance of your system. It's designed to do that either intentionally or through poor programming. And it's going to potentially open you up to other forms of attacks, like maybe a phishing attack saying that they're from tech support and we know your system's slow and we would like to take a look and clean it up for you. Another reason for, or another type of bloatware is cryptocurrency mining. That software is considered to be bloatware because it's going to tie up your system resources and it's going to slow your system. It is still technically malicious to your computer, but it could be legitimate if you're actively mining cryptocurrency. Search engine hijackers These are programs that change what search engine you use. If you've ever been surfing the internet and using Google, you go to one site, then you do another search, and all of a sudden you're using a search engine like Ask, for instance. These are redirecting you to search engines that are going to give results that are going to direct you to a certain set of websites. This could be done as part of the adware program, part of the spyware program. It could also be used for phishing or getting your PC more likely to be infected with a virus. So why do people write malware? Well, there's a host of reasons, but ultimately someone somewhere wants to get paid. It could be a direct payout option in the example of ransomware, but it could also be for a later attempt to be paid, or they want to steal your data and sell it. So how do you protect yourself from malware and ransomware? A lot of people think traditional antivirus programs like your Symantec's, your Nortons, your McAfee's, your Trend Micros, these are all good for detecting and preventing malware attacks if it's properly managed and updated frequently. Its protection is based on definition files, which means it has to know about the vulnerability or the threat before it can protect against it. It does very little in cleaning an infection. Its focus is specifically on detection and prevention again. So what happens if you have an active infection? Well, that's where an EDR or endpoint detection and response program comes into play. EDR programs are artificial intelligence programs that work based not on definition files alone, but also on behaviors. Another way EDR is superior to traditional antivirus is that it also adds features like killing applications, quarantining applications, remediating infections, and rolling back machines to its suite of protections. It can kill a program or process if it's behaving in a malicious way. If that program reactivates and continues to act in a malicious way, it can encrypt that process or that application and prevent it from executing altogether. Next, it has the ability to remediate malicious files by deleting them off your machine. And as kind of the last tier of protection it offers, it gives the users the ability to roll back their files or the entire system depending on the solution that you select. So the direction of the industry as it relates to antivirus and EDR is it is moving away from your traditional antiviruses and moving towards EDR solutions. If you have cyber liability insurance as part of your business insurance suite of protections, it is likely you are required or will be required to maintain an EDR solution. All right, next we're going to talk about phishing with a PH. But phishing with a PH is much like phishing with an F. Someone is baiting an area or a hook in order to try to catch someone. Phishing and spear phishing have some common features. They're both mining for data or access to your professional or personal information or your financial data. Additionally, any phishing attack is going to create an imperative, something that needs to be done right now, like click this link to update your payment information or lose a package forever. It's going to try and make you feel a sense of desperation or possibly play to other emotions like greed. If you have that unknown uncle that just died and left you lots of money and they want to deposit it in your bank account, all they need is your bank information to do a direct deposit. So continuing on this metaphor of phishing, phishing is either someone baiting a hook or casting a net. They're not necessarily targeting a specific fish. You may get little fish, big fish, trash, etc., but you're probably going to get something using a hook or a net. Examples of general phishing attacks include emails from the IRS saying that it's looking to audit you. Click this link to pay your fine to avoid the audit. Also, in the above example where I talked about the inheritance, that is an example of a general phishing attack. To avoid falling victim to one of these attacks, really look at the email message. All right. First off, is the message itself too good to be true or too bad to be true? In either event, that's probably a good sign that it's a phishing attack. Are there misspellings and broken grammar in the message? If so, that's another red flag that this could be a phishing attack. Look at the email address that the sender sent this message from. Is it at a valid company email address, or is it coming from a free email provider like Gmail or Yahoo? If it is, that's another indicator that you could be looking at a phishing email. So general phishing attacks tend to come in primarily either in email or in SMS text messaging, and it's a bulk attack. They're just wanting some people to click the links and do the things. They're not necessarily expecting to have like a 100% click rate or anything like that. It's possible that a phishing attack could also come in over the phone, but that tends to be more in line with spear phishing. So let's go ahead and talk about spear phishing. This one is going to be a more complex phishing attack and is targeted to a specific company and possibly a specific individual within that company. And it may also involve multiple forms of attacks, such as an owner of a company having his email hacked. Then, with that hacked email account, they send an email message to the accountant that says, hey, I want you to go get $5,000 of Visa check cards, and I want you to send me the numbers on the back so I can give them out as gifts. And a variant on this attack is the owner of the company sending an email to the accountant saying, I want you to do a wire transfer of X number of dollars so that we can win a contract. So you can see how this is not just casting a net anymore, but we're targeting a specific fish in a specific body of water. Some other examples of spear phishing include one that made the news locally here in the Triad, where an elderly woman was called by someone identifying themselves in law enforcement, and they said their grandson was arrested and he was going to spend the entire weekend in jail unless the grandmother provided a credit card over the phone and paid $8,000. Spear phishing is harder to identify. So some things to be on the look for, again, is that broken grammar and misspellings. But it's also going to be about training and understanding as well as having business policies in place that prevent you from being a victim. In the example where law enforcement called grandmother, number one, law enforcement wouldn't call the grandmother regarding bailing their grandson out. The grandson would need to call his grandmother when he got his free phone call. Likewise, the IRS is not going to send you an email or call you or SMS you regarding an audit. They're going to send you a certified letter. Are they creating a sense of desperation? No one legitimate is going to fault you for verifying the situation. Call the sheriff's department or the jail directly to see if your grandson is there. Call your boss to verify the purchase before doing it. As entrepreneurs, I highly recommend that if you have an accounts payable person, make sure there's a limit that if exceeded, they have to check with you either in person or over the phone to get a verbal approval before performing. That extra check could save you and your organization a lot of money and a lot of time trying to get your money back. So when people hear hacking, they may think of movies like War Games or Hackers if you're in your 40s or in that area. You may be thinking about some teenager down in the basement trying to sneak in for a quick buck. But really, hackers today are almost like a business. And like any business, they're in it for the money. They get paid by stealing your intellectual property, your financial information, and your customers' data. So how does hacking work? First, the hackers got to find your network, and they do that through scanning the internet, or they have names of companies and they just see who is available to be hacked. Once they have an IP address, basically the street address of where your company lives on the internet, then they see what is available to be exploited. Are you using a protocol like FTP, which is going to send username and passwords in plain text? If so, that's making a lot of their work very easy for them. Another way that they can gain access to your network is through Wi-Fi leakage. If you have lots of access points in your building and you have access points close to external walls, there is a high probability that your Wi-Fi network extends out to the street to some degree. If that's the case, they can be on your network without being in your building. The next way is through public access Wi-Fi. This is one of those banes of most IT professionals. The people who want to go work at Starbucks or Panera or McDonald's, any place that's offering free Wi-Fi, it adds convenience for them to be able to do work from literally anywhere. But you know what? Hackers know that too. So connecting to these free Wi-Fi networks also exposes you to get hacked. Additionally, you can be phished or spear-phished for access to your network. This could be someone contacting you saying that they're from technical support and they need your username and password. You know what? Unless you know the IT company, you should never give your username and password out. Arguably, you should never give your username and password out anyway. There is a process by which any IT company can reset or set up a local admin account in order to do their job. It does not require you to give your username and your password out. So how do you protect yourself from hacking? Have passwords. Have complex passwords. Have unique passwords for every site, every system you sign into. That's going to be a lot of passwords, so you may need a password manager on top of all of that. Use multi-factor authentication. If my PC were to get stolen and they had the password, they still could not get in my PC because my PC is protected by multi-factor authentication. In order to access my PC, they would have to have both my PC and my cell phone in order to sign in. Additionally, you could have a firewall with gateway services on it. User education is going to play a key part of this. Having business policies in place about how to use public Wi-Fi. For instance, say you go to the Panera Bread to access their public Wi-Fi. Maybe you say, if you're going to not work from here, you have to tether to your cell phone for internet connection. Or if you're not going to do that, you have to use a software VPN client like NordVPN or SonicWall VPN client or the Windows VPN client, depending on what firewall you have. Those are all ways that you can protect yourself from hacking. So let's talk about planning. Typically, I recommend that everyone start looking at endpoint detection and response right now. Everyone should be looking to update their passwords right now. Everyone should be looking at multi-factor authentication right now. And everyone who's here has already started the user training process, but it is something that they need to plan to bring that training back to their office. Later on, you'll want to budget for things like firewalls with gateway services and ongoing user training. And I know what you're going to ask. Well, what's this going to cost? Because part of this planning is going to be budgetary numbers. So it depends what pieces you put in and how many of those pieces you need in order to be protected. I have put together cybersecurity solutions that range from a few $100s a year up to a few $1,000s per month for companies that fit within the SMB market. So one of the first ways that we start coming around to budgetary numbers is let's consider calculating what downtime is going to cost you. So first off, let's calculate lost revenue. This is the amount of money you lost because you couldn't make a sale. That's going to be your annual gross revenue divided by the number of days that you're open per year. And then you're going to calculate the percentage of irrecoverable business and then subtract that from your daily gross revenue. Next, we're going to calculate lost productivity. This is the money you lost because your employees were not able to work. And this includes you. All right, so that's the duration of the outage. For ransomware, typically a cleanup is going to be between 4 and 8 hours. So you can assume the duration of your outage is going to be somewhere in that 4 to 8 hour range. It's going to be that times the number of employees times their average hourly rate. Then you're going to calculate the percentage of lost productivity by multiplying that by how little work they were able to do that day. If their job is entirely tied to their PC, so if it is down, they are not able to work, then that average percentage of lost productivity is 100%. But if you have other things that you can have them do, like go make sales calls, go grab a home laptop and work on certain things to do that, maybe that downtime percentage is more like 50%. Whatever that percentage is, once you have it, you subtract that from the productivity of your employees, and then to calculate your total cost of downtime, it's lost revenue plus lost productivity. Cost of the cleanup is something else that you should be concerned with. What is it going to cost me to get back to a functional state? All right. So if you have an internal IT resource, it's going to be that person's hourly rate times the number of hours that they work cleaning it up. Again, 4 to 8 hours is the average that I would use for ransomware, and that's a per machine cleanup. So whatever their hourly rate is times the number of hours. To engage a third party like myself or the host of other MSPs in the area, that metric is going to look like the third party rate times the number of engaged resources times the hours for cleanup. So X times Y times Z equals A. So let's make this a little bit simpler by using some real numbers. In this scenario, we've got a sole proprietor with an annual gross revenue of $100,000. They work on average 240 days per year, which is kind of the average if you're looking Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and you're taking holidays and vacation time. This particular attack, they were unable to recover 10% of the business that went down the street, and it only impacted a single machine. So the cost of that one downtime event was $456.57. The cost of cleanup is going to be somewhere roughly $500 to $1,000. Again, this is a budgetary number. It's going to be dependent on the rate of a third-party cleanup or what the internal resource makes. The total cost of this one event is going to be just under $1,000 to just under $1,500. Another example, a little bit larger in scale. You've got 20 employees, 20 machines, annual gross revenue of $1 million, and we're still saying they lost 10% of their business, and they, again, work 240 days per year. Their cost of downtime is going to be just under $4,600, just from lost revenue and lost productivity. The cost of the cleanup, this number is a little bit skewed because there should be some economy of scale when you're dealing with multiple machines, because you can be working on multiple machines at once. But just for budgetary numbers, I would just continue to use the same equation and not worry about economies of scale. So the cost to clean up is between $10,000 and $20,000 for those 20 machines, which brings your total cost to just under $15,000 and just under $25,000 for the range. So, as a good rule of thumb, your budget should roughly be about the cost of 1 to 2 cybersecurity attacks per year. From my first example, the single user environment, that would be about $2,000 to $3,000 per year. Again, we're talking about economies of scale here. I wouldn't budget $30,000 to $50,000, but a $10,000 to $20,000 budget wouldn't be a bad idea for that $1 million business. Like everything, it boils down to risk versus cost. What is the risk and cost of doing nothing versus the cost of protecting yourself? And how risk averse are you? What compliance requirements are you subject to? Things like that are going to shape what you need your cybersecurity budget to look like. That is why I highly recommend that when you're starting to lay down your cybersecurity budget, you engage with someone who can help you navigate those waters of compliance, best practice, and help come up with a plan that is going to work for you without breaking your bank. I thank you for your time today, and please be on the lookout for additional training videos and presentations. And please remember to like and subscribe.